The issue with Apex Legends honestly lies with the people who have the real control. The ones in suit and ties. The ones who have the real power, And if you guys don't believe me, right, listen to what this former EA employee had to say about the whole situation, right? He said this: Respawn is the developer, EA is the publisher. Devs always have to listen to the publisher no matter what because they pay the devs their salary. Dev teams are almost always gamers themselves. They are probably as frustrated as we are when it comes to the state of the game. Publishers are always a bunch of old businessmen. They don't play games, they don't care about the game, it's profit that they care about. Frustrated developers often always quit their jobs if they feel that they are not able to convince the publisher otherwise. At this point, I think it's almost impossible to make EA care about the state of the game unless there is a change in leadership. So I actually stopped playing Apex Legends for about 3 or 4 months. And in that time, obviously I wasn't too active in the Apex community and stuff. But I did peep in on Twitter and Reddit and stuff just to see what the community was saying. And I was kind of hoping that, the sentiments around Apex would change in my time away and the game would just naturally improve. That actually wasn't the case, because in those 3 or 4 months, I just began seeing more and more complaints about Apex, more bugs, more issues with the game, the devs, the publisher, EA of course, the publisher of Apex Legends. And I actually was not going to make this video because I hate to reinforce the fact that a game isn't doing good. I mean, at this point, we all kind of expect issues to take place in games like Apex, like these live service games. But Apex to me is such a unique case because no matter how many issues Apex has or like how many times Respawn or EA fucks up, right? If we're being real, the game still manages to succeed somehow because of this insane and dedicated fan base. But this fan base could only take you so far, right? And I really feel like Apex is in a very interesting position right now. And if we don't see the type of change that we need to see, you guys need to see, the community needs to see as a whole, then Apex could be in some serious trouble, right? So let's actually kind of, tear back some layers and talk about why I have this view on Apex right now. Now, I kind of want to make this video and avoid the topic of numbers, right? Because I don't want to talk about numbers too much and like how many players Apex has, how many people on Twitch are watching. But because numbers obviously does play a part in a game's success, let's just take a look at one very revealing stat right here, right? And this is the number of viewers on Twitch for Apex. So when Apex recently had the collection event and the return of Control, Apex actually saw a huge decline, a more than 50% drop in the amount of viewers on Twitch for Apex, right? Which is actually a very big stat. It is revealing. Obviously, Twitch doesn't give a clear picture of like player numbers in game. But I keep saying this, right? Twitch is extremely important in 2022. You guys might think that, you just hop on Apex, you don't watch streams or YouTube videos or anything like that. But in 2022, guys, having an online presence and having a very strong online community on Twitch, on YouTube, is extremely important to a game's success. It's just the way things are, right? And I really feel like if Apex isn't able to retain those viewers on Twitch and that online community, it will inevitably trickle down to the game itself. Now, this actually is not shocking to me at all, This isn't surprising, this isn't revealing to me because many content creators and many streamers have all said that they just don't enjoy Apex right now. They're honestly kind of just getting fed up of the same cycle, like the same expectation then disappointment, expectation then disappointment cycle that Apex tends to have, and many really big streamers have spoken out. And I feel like when many big streamers speak out and many big streamers show their frustration on stream, their audience then doesn't really, feel the need to watch Apex or like even engage as much, which is why the Twitch numbers may be down so much. It kind of makes sense in that way. A lot of streamers were actually recently talking about going on strike and calling it No Apex August, just to kind of prompt the devs to do something about the game, right? And this is actually really interesting right here because when this happened, a former EA employee came out and said that the devs have nothing to do really and truly with the current state of Apex. Like, it's all on EA, like the devs could only make so many changes. Of course, the publisher of the game, which is EA, has to sign off on almost every single one of those changes, right? So as we all kind of predicted, guys, the real issue with Apex isn't Respawn. Respawn is a great studio. Respawn cares a lot about this game, and honestly guys, most of the devs at Respawn give a shit about making Apex the best game it could be. I think we all see that by now, right? The issue with Apex Legends honestly lies with the people who have the real control, the ones in suit and ties, the ones who have the real power, like those people at EA really have control, and I feel like EA just doesn't give a shit about if a game is successful or not. You know what, let me actually rephrase that. EA doesn't give a shit about if a game is fun or not. They only care about a game's revenue, right? So like EA doesn't care that Apex doesn't have a very good matchmaking system. EA doesn't care that Apex is terrible right now for solo players. EA also doesn't give a crap about all of the bugs in Apex. All EA cares about is that when Respawn drops a collection event, they want to see that money raking in, and if it happens, then EA is content. And it kind of sucks because I really feel like if we had a publisher that really gave a shit about the state of the game, then Apex honestly would be in a completely different position right now. And if you guys don't believe me, right, listen to what this former EA employee had to say about the whole situation, right? He said this: Respawn is the developer, EA is the publisher. Devs always have to listen to the publisher no matter what because they pay the devs their salary. Dev teams are almost always gamers themselves. They are probably as frustrated as we are when it comes to the state of the game. Publishers are always a bunch of old businessmen. They don't play games, they don't care about the game, it's profit that they care about. Frustrated developers often always quit their jobs if they feel that they are not able to convince the publisher otherwise. At this point, I think it's almost impossible to make EA care about the state of the game unless there is a change in leadership. So straight from the horse's mouth, guys, the problem with Apex is not Respawn. There may be some very minor, very small problems that Respawn contributes to, but like the main issues lies in the hands of EA, which I feel all of us already knew because this company has a very interesting track record, right? But there's one thing that Apex has that many games don't, and this is a very strong, dedicated fan base. Like Apex, I think probably has one of the strongest fan bases out of any game out right now, to be honest, because they actually care about the game. They're invested in the story of the game, the legends, the characters, the maps. Like people actually give a shit about the lore of Apex as well, which I think is why Apex has been able to survive so long, because the game actually has depth to it, and it's a really well designed game at the core, right? So I think right now Apex's only saving grace is the uniqueness of its gameplay. Like no other game offers the same movement, the same fluidity, the same feel that Apex has, and also because of the commitment of the fans and the community. Like this game, as I said, has a very tight-knit community, right? So I feel like even though we see so many issues on a day-to-day basis with Apex, the community will hold its game down. The game might lose support, it might lose players, but I feel like it will always be at least somewhat relevant because of that. No, there's only so much they could take, and we've seen so many games in the past with really strong communities fall off because of a lack of support. Halo is a perfect example of that. Battlefield is also a perfect example of that. These games were once extremely popular games, really strong fan bases, but because of bad support, bad just decision making, those games ultimately fell off, right? And Apex is no exception. Like the game does have a very strong base, and there is hope. This game could still come back and make a complete switch and just have all the issues fixed, or at least attempt to have all the issues fixed. But after a certain time, content creators will get fed up, streamers will get fed up, pros will get fed up as well. And honestly, the nail in the coffin would be when the casual gamers get fed up, because when the casual gamers get fed up, you no longer have a fan base, you no longer have a player base, I should say, because the player base is really mainly comprised of casual players who don't give a crap about Twitch or YouTube. They just play because they enjoy it, right? So when that player base becomes jaded and they kind of don't enjoy playing this game anymore, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, guys, yeah, that's it. Not to kind of end this video on a bad note or not to be pessimistic, right? But as I said, Apex has a very strong fan base. Apex has a lot of potential, and there's still hope for this game, of course, right? But EA, the publisher of this game, needs to buckle up, and some changes need to be made. Not just on a casual level, but there need to be changes to appease content creators and pros as well, because as I said, guys, this is in 2010. Games don't grow simply by word of mouth now. Games grow because of content. Games grow because they're big on Twitch, because they attract a big audience on YouTube. Like, look at Warzone. Warzone mainly grew because over quarantine, everybody watched it on Twitch and was like, I want to play Warzone now. Like, all of these games that blow up, Fall Guys, for example, Among Us, like, all of these games blow up because of Twitch. So for you guys who kind of say, you know, I don't care about Twitch, I don't care about what content creators think, you should care. Because if the content creators leave, if the pros leave, which is already kind of starting to happen, guys, it will inevitably trickle down to you as well. It's just the way it works. It's just the way games work nowadays. And again, I really hope we see some changes, because Apex to me is one of the best games of this century and I really want to see it succeed. So yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. What do you think? Leave your thoughts down below as always, and I'll see you guys in some more videos. Until next time.